The lift doors parted with a soft metallic breath, releasing Lieutenant Recruit Ava Renn into the upper concourse of Celestar Academy. The orbital station's interior shimmered with diffused blue light from its panoramic viewports, revealing a swirl of clouds over the sapphire world of Terefos far below. Cadets of a dozen species crossed the walkway, sleek-bodied Cithril, crystalline Varani, towering four-armed Draxon, all pausing just long enough to study the humans stepping into their domain. Ava ignored the stares. She had expected them. Humans weren't common here, and when they did arrive, whispers followed. Rumors about Earthborn biology traveled faster than supply drones. Some described humans as impact-tolerant anomalies. Others preferred sensor-breaking deathworlders. Most kept a safe distance. Ava walked with quiet confidence toward the sensor deck entrance. A line of hollow symbols above the door flickered as she approached, responding to her ID signature. "Recruit Renn," a sharp voice called. Commander Varel Zathrix descended the adjacent stairwell with brisk, precise steps. His carapace armor gleamed, and his narrow eyes measured Ava with an expression that hovered between suspicion and annoyance. He gestured toward the secured doorway. "You will undergo full spectrum assessment," he stated. "Our systems demand accurate baselines. Do not interfere, and do not conceal anything. Humans have a history." Ava held his gaze. "I'm here to take the evaluation, Commander. Nothing more." "Good." His tone suggested the opposite. The doors parted, revealing a circular chamber lined with suspended sensor columns. Pale light flowed across its floor in shifting geometric patterns. Technicians clustered near consoles, adjusting calibration fields. A few glanced up as she entered. Their expressions tightened. Ava stepped onto the central platform. The deck lights intensified, scanning her silhouette. "Stand still," a technician instructed. Vital response grid beginning calibration. A torque of energy rose around her as the columns activated. Hollow numbers appeared in rapid sequence: respiration rate, neural rhythm, muscle density, stress index, cellular regeneration factor. Everything progressed smoothly until the grid reached bone compression resistance. The numbers surged. The hollow display stuttered, froze, then dissolved into a red warning band. "Error, values exceed limit range." Technicians stared at each other. One tapped his console. Another rebooted a node. The numbers reappeared, climbed again, and the warning returned, louder. Commander Varel stepped forward, mandibles tensing. "Recruit, what are you doing to the system?" "Standing," Ava replied. "Do not mock the process. These instruments have evaluated thousands of cadets without error. Then the error isn't mine." The technicians exchanged uneasy looks. Varel circled Ava as the display scrambled again. "Run it again," he snapped. The grid restarted. This time the failure occurred sooner. Neural frequency readings shot upward, attempting to stabilize, then collapsed into unreadable static. Ava felt nothing unusual, just faint warmth from the platform. Her heartbeat stayed steady. She kept her posture relaxed. One technician cleared his throat. "Commander, the grid's predictive algorithms are failing to maintain resolution. They can't model her baseline." "Impossible," Varel hissed. "Increase sensitivity." They did. The third attempt triggered a rapid oscillation across every column. The chamber vibrated as the platform lights flickered in distress. Ava inhaled slowly. "Commander, if this compromises the deck, you will remain silent." He turned to the staff. "Proceed to reflex loop test." Ava nodded once and shifted into ready stance as a ring of spherical holonodes materialized around her. Each one pulsed with tight bursts of light, signaling microsecond reaction trials. "Begin," Varel ordered. The first pulse snapped toward her left. Ava moved without calculation, her hand intercepted it. The pulse vanished. A second burst streaked downward. She pivoted lightly, tapping it aside before it reached full luminosity. The nodes accelerated, firing sequences in unpredictable arcs. Ava flowed between them, every motion precise, economical, unfaltering. The deck attempted to map each gesture, but the prediction overlay spasmed, trying to catch up with movements that ended before the algorithm processed the start. Then the entire array paused midair. A dull tone reverberated. System failure, reflex loop calibration terminated. The nodes dropped, fading out. A technician's voice cracked. Sensors can't track her. It's not latency, it's something beyond the model. Varel's expression darkened. You are disrupting the equipment. I only reacted, Ava said gently. Your system couldn't follow. No human can exceed this deck's projection limits. Your species barely meets baseline neural stability. Ava almost laughed at that, but she kept her face neutral. Varel signaled the next test. Durability scan. Full exposure range. Technicians hesitated. Commander, the last scan. Do it. The chamber dimmed. A faint radiation haze shimmered through the air, a mild field, well within normal evaluation parameters. Ava exhaled and let her muscles settle. The sensors whirred. Numbers rose across the display: cellular durability, protein endurance, thermal resistance. Everything remained stable until the field increased. A warning blinked. Subject should be experiencing pain response. Ava stood motionless. Intensity rose again. Subject should be experiencing tissue damage. Ava's breathing remained level. The system pushed to the next tier. Every technician leaned forward. The display sputtered, froze, then read. Biological response outside maximum model. System halt. The radiation field shut down with a sudden snap. Ava blinked once. Is something wrong? One technician whispered, this is unprecedented. Varel's voice boomed through the chamber. Enough. This testing is suspended. Recruit Renn, you will accompany security to the interrogation suite. Ava stepped off the platform. Interrogation? For following procedure? You manipulated the readings, he shouted. No system collapses under simple evaluation. You are hiding something. She faced him fully for the first time since entering the chamber. Her voice softened, yet the words carried weight. I didn't disrupt your technology, Commander. Your technology failed to understand me. Silence spread across the deck. Even the technicians paused. Varel gestured sharply. Security officers moved in around her, their armor clicking in unison. Ava walked without resistance, her posture steady. As the doors slid shut behind them, she cast one final glance at the fractured sensor deck, columns dimmed, displays corrupted, systems struggling to recover from data they were never designed to process. She had warned no one. She had explained nothing. Yet every alien in that room understood one undeniable truth. The Academy hadn't measured her. It had broken trying. The interrogation suite rested deep within Celestar Academy's administrative wing, sealed behind reinforced alloy and radiation-dampened walls. Ava entered with quiet steps, escorted by two armored officers who never removed their hands from their holstered stunners. The air hummed with static from the surveillance grids overhead. Everything in this room was designed to restrain dangerous cadets. Ava sat at the center table. The chair adjusted to her posture automatically. She kept her breathing steady, though she sensed every scanner tracking her heartbeat from the moment she crossed the threshold. Commander Varel arrived seconds later, accompanied by a recording drone. The drone's lens glowed red as it focused on Ava. You will answer directly, Varel said sharply. No evasions. Your earlier reactions suggest deliberate interference. Ava folded her hands on the table. What would I gain from sabotaging your deck? Validation, he replied. Your kind thrives on dramatic superiority displays. Humans crave recognition. I only took the evaluation. Then explain the metrics. His mandibles flexed in agitation. Vital readings exceeding calibrations, reflex signatures beyond prediction, durability that contradicts biological principles. Machines don't fabricate such extremes. Ava met his stare. I didn't surpass your machines. They weren't prepared to measure my baseline. Varel scoffed. Arrogant. Honest. He paced the room, agitation sharpening each movement. You will undergo additional verification. Your species cannot be granted Accord military clearance if your biology remains unquantifiable. A soft chime interrupted him. A holoscreen unfolded above the table, revealing the silhouettes of 3 Accord observers, oversight officers from distant sectors. Their faces were blurred intentionally, preventing identification. A synthesized voice addressed the room. Commander Zathrix, we have reviewed preliminary reports. Continue your evaluation, but ensure scientific integrity. Varel straightened. Of course. The hologram shifted. Human recruit Ava Renn, you will comply with extended testing. Failure to do so will jeopardize Earth's admission review. Ava nodded. I'll comply. The holo dissipated, leaving the room heavier than before. Varel approached a wall panel. We moved to the combat holosuit. If the sensors cannot read you in passive format, they will attempt to measure kinematic output. One officer opened the door. Ava stood, following without resistance. As they entered the holosuit corridor, Ava studied Varel's rigid stride. His tension was no longer masked. Something deeper fueled him, not scientific curiosity, but fear of losing authority. The suite opened with a hydraulic hiss, revealing a vast chamber lined with projectors and kinetic dampeners. Holographic grids shimmered across the walls, prepared to conjure simulated opponents of any species or tactical class. A technician approached Varel. Commander, the suite is stable. But the sensor deck's earlier malfunction corrupted several predictive algorithms. We've compensated, but accuracy may be reduced. Begin regardless, Varel ordered. Ava stepped onto the center pad. The floor illuminated beneath her feet. Varel faced her from the observation deck. You will engage the standard elite challenge. This is non-lethal. The suite will track your movements precisely. Ava tilted her head. That's what the sensor deck tried to do. His eyes narrowed. Begin. A pulse swept the room. Holograms materialized, 6 multi-species combat constructs, each modeled after a formidable military race. A Draxan bruiser took shape beside a lithoid Varani striker. A Sithril blade dancer flickered into view, twin energy crescents poised. They charged. Ava moved before the suite registered the first step. She slid beneath the bruiser's arm, redirected its momentum with a subtle shift of weight, and sent it crashing into the Varani. The impact scattered shards of light as the holograms destabilized. The blade dancer lunged. Ava stepped aside, catching its wrist with a grip so controlled the hologram flickered twice before collapsing. The next 3 constructs attacked simultaneously. Ava barely shifted her stance. Each strike passed where she had been an instant earlier. She countered with minimal force, redirecting, unbalancing, neutralizing, until the entire suite fell silent. Every hologram dissolved. Ava exhaled. Is that sufficient? Varel stared at the blank screens around him. Sweat dampened the sides of his collar. He jabbed a finger at a technician. Where's the data? The technician swallowed. There is none, Commander. What do you mean, none? The suite failed to track her. It recognized hits but couldn't log her actual movements. Every frame appears empty until the target collapses. It's like she moved between the scans. Impossible. Ava addressed the technician gently. Not impossible. Just unaccounted for. Varel turned on her. You will not redefine our standards. Humans do not exceed calibrated velocity limits. Then adjust the calibration. His voice shook. You mock this institution. I'm offering clarity. The technicians whispered among themselves, exchanging frightened glances. An alarm suddenly pulsed, a low, rumbling tone that vibrated through the floor. The suite's AI projection materialized above the observation railing, a pale figure composed of drifting geometric strokes. Announcement, it intoned. Subject Ava Renn's actions exceed sensor resolution. Recalibration required before accurate evaluation can proceed. Varel froze. Override that message. Cannot comply, the AI replied. System integrity demands recalibration. Ava is manipulating the readings. Incorrect, the AI stated. Hardware parameters insufficient. The technicians backed away as Varel slammed his palm against the console. Force extended range capture. Push the resolution to maximum. Commander, that can destabilize the entire array, a technician warned. Do it. Reluctantly, they initiated the override. The holosuit pulsed. Walls shimmered, lights flared, and the chamber filled with a rising electromagnetic hum. The floor vibrated beneath Ava's boots. She stepped off the center pad. This isn't safe. Remain where you are. Varel shouted. The hum intensified into a teeth-rattling resonance. Holographic grids warped, collapsing into tangled light. Warning phrases flooded the displays. System overload, sensor array unsupported. Resolution exceeds hardware limit. Reboot imminent. Technicians scrambled to shut down the sequence. A piercing tone signaled the final failure. The entire suite went dark. Moments later, emergency lights flickered on. Ava stood quietly amid the settling haze, untouched, unburned, unshaken. The officers near the door stared at her as though witnessing an event they couldn't categorize. The AI's voice returned, quieter now, almost subdued. System failure contained. Full Academy sensor network entering quantum reboot. The technicians looked horrified. No one in centuries had witnessed a reboot of every sensor system in Celestar Academy. Varel didn't look at them. He stared only at Ava, breathing hard, as if the truth he'd fought to deny had cornered him without mercy. Ava met his gaze calmly. Commander, she said, you wanted clarity. This is it. The reboot chamber lay beneath Celestar Academy's central core, a vault only open during catastrophic failures. Its walls shimmered with layered crystalline scanners, each attuned to quantum signatures and biological phase states. Most cadets never saw this room. Few instructors did. Even fewer understood its mechanisms. Ava entered in silence, escorted by officers who now lacked their earlier confidence. Their eyes avoided hers, as if they feared contact with something beyond their frame of understanding. She didn't blame them. The entire academy had shifted. Every corridor buzzed with rumors about the human who caused a full system reboot without raising her voice. Commander Varel stood near the main control spire, arms folded tight. His usually immaculate uniform bore creases he hadn't noticed. His composure frayed. Yet defiance still held his posture. You will submit to the final diagnostic, he said. There will be no repeats. No delays. No excuses. Ava stepped onto the circular platform at the center of the chamber. I'm ready. The machine will evaluate you at quantum resolution, Varel continued. If your readings fall within measurable limits, you will be cleared. If not. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. Ava nodded. Begin when you're prepared. The technicians activated the chamber. The lights dimmed, shifting into concentric rings around the platform. A low vibration rolled through the floor, spreading outward like a pulse. The crystalline walls brightened as the central spire extended upward, forming a lattice of sensors around Ava. A voice emerged from the ceiling, calm, precise, unmistakably the Academy's AI. Quantum analysis initializing. Subject locked. Beginning Tier 1 scan. The lattice hummed, projecting thin beams of pale light that passed through Ava without resistance. She remained still, letting the system work. Numbers appeared on the monitors, stable, coherent, clean. Heart rhythm normal. Neural activity balanced. Cellular regeneration active. Everything looked ordinary. Varel leaned closer. So far, consistent. Then Tier 2 began. The chamber tightened its resolution. The beams brightened, analyzing molecular cohesion, subatomic drift, and gravitational microresonance. The readings shifted abruptly. Neural patterns oscillated outside expected symmetry. Cellular bonds strengthened in response to nothing. Pressure tolerance climbed with no external stimulus. The technicians watched in stunned silence. Varel slammed his palm against the console. Increase resolution. A warning flashed. Caution, unstable results detected. He ignored it. Proceed. Tier 3 activated. The lattice whirled faster, beams weaving complex patterns around Ava. She closed her eyes, feeling the air shift, though she felt no discomfort. The sensors probed deeper than before, attempting to map the smallest movements of her biology, the transitions between states of stress, adaptation, recovery. The monitors flickered. Data lines twisted, collided, then stabilized into new shapes no one recognized. One technician whispered, "I've never seen these signatures. They shouldn't form coherent patterns at all." Another replied, "It looks like her biology is adjusting faster than the scan registers." Ava opened her eyes. "Is something wrong?" The AI responded. Subject response exceeds Tier 3 thresholds. Proceeding to maximum tier. Varel exhaled sharply, relief and triumph mixing. "Yes." "Continue." Ava studied him. "You want the system to break itself again?" "I want the truth." The chamber brightened. Tier 4 initiated, maximum tier, the limit of the Academy's most advanced technology. The lattice accelerated until it became a spinning halo around Ava. Every beam pinpointed the smallest fluctuation in her physiology, trying to measure something it could not define. The monitors went dark. Then a single line of text appeared across every screen in the chamber. Unclassifiable, humanity outside expectation. Ava breathed out slowly. She didn't smile. She simply absorbed the weight of the declaration. Varel stared at the message. "No. No, this can't be final." "Run it again." The AI replied. "Final reading confirmed. No further resolution exists." "Override," he shouted. "Override denied." Command would result in system collapse. Varel slammed his fists onto the console. Humans cannot exceed relational paradigms. The Accord built this academy to evaluate hundreds of species. It cannot fail because of you. Ava stepped off the platform. It didn't fail because of me, Commander. Then why can't it classify you? Because your models were built to measure what you already understand. She approached him slowly, her voice steady. Humans adapt beyond expectation. We don't fit the shapes you assign. That is an error. It's evolution. The technicians froze. Even the AI paused its natural hum, as if listening. Varel stepped back, anger unraveling into something uncertain. If you can't be measured, you can't be trusted. Ava held his gaze. Trust isn't based on readings. It's based on actions. He shook his head. "I refuse to accept this." He reached for a manual override lever embedded beneath a protective panel. Technicians shouted warnings, but Varel pulled it anyway. The chamber screamed with overload alarms. "Critical warning," the AI announced. "System destabilizing. Collapse imminent." The crystalline walls trembled. Sparks flared from the lattice. The quantum spire glowed with unstable energy. Ava reacted instantly. She vaulted toward the console, grabbed the lever, and forced it back into safe position with controlled force. The surge died abruptly. The chamber steadied. Emergency lights flickered, a sign the worst had passed. A technician stared at her in disbelief. "How did you counteract that surge manually?" Ava released the lever. "I knew where the stress point was." That level of intuition. He stopped, unable to finish. The AI lowered its tone, almost deferential. Human interface successful. System stabilized. Updating compatibility models. Every screen lit with new patterns forming, patterns shaped by Ava's intervention, not by the machine's preset logic. Varel didn't speak. The reality he'd fought shattered before him. The AI addressed the room. Conclusion: Subject Ava Renn demonstrates adaptive traits outside all known biological parameters. No deception detected. Recommendation: Human classification updated to high adaptation species. Academy protocols require reassessment. Ava stood quietly, letting the words settle. Security officers exchanged glances, unsure whether to fear her or admire her. Technicians stared at their consoles as though witnessing the birth of new science. Varel lowered his head. "I misjudged you." Ava answered softly, without triumph. "You judged your machines instead of your own assumptions." He had no reply. She turned toward the exit. As the chamber doors opened, bright corridor light spilled inside. Ava walked forward, leaving behind a room full of stunned officers, a trembling commander, and an AI still rewriting its understanding of humanity based on one girl's steady hand. Before stepping out, Ava paused and glanced back. "Your systems weren't ready for me," she said calmly. "Now they will be." Then she disappeared into the corridor, the reboot chamber echoing with a single truth. The galaxy had underestimated humanity. Word of the reboot chamber's final verdict spread through Celestar Academy faster than any official report. Cadets whispered in training halls, instructors reviewed their lecture modules with unease, and senior officers cloistered themselves in private conference rooms. Nothing like this had occurred in the Academy's entire 300-cycle history. The Quantum Core, once assumed infallible, had declared humanity unclassifiable. Ava walked the upper promenade without haste. The glass flooring revealed the curve of Terefos far below, its oceans shimmering like liquid sapphire. The Academy felt different now, its usual rigid discipline had softened into uncertain attention. Species who avoided humans earlier now observed her with careful fascination. She sensed their questions but met no hostility, only curiosity, tempered by caution. A soft chime sounded overhead, followed by an announcement. "Recruit Ava Renn is to report to Command Summit Hall immediately." Ava adjusted her uniform and continued down the corridor, boots clicking against polished alloy. When she reached a lift, the doors opened before she touched the panel. The sensors had begun recognizing her presence instinctively, an unintended consequence of the new compatibility models rewritten by the reboot chamber. The Summit Hall occupied the highest level of the Academy, a circular auditorium lined with tiered seats for multi-species leadership. Hollow screens hung overhead, displaying live feeds of the Academy's rebuilt sensor grids. Everything appeared stable now, ironically because Ava had stabilized it. When she entered, the hall quieted. Officers from every branch faced her. Among them stood Commander Varel, rigid but composed, his earlier hostility replaced with something she couldn't yet interpret. At the center of the hall, a floating hollow emblem pulsed, the insignia of the Galactic Accord. A voice resonated from hidden speakers. "Recruit Ava Renn," said the Accord's representative, materializing as a hologram on the dais. "You stand before us as the subject of a historic evaluation. The Academy systems have recalibrated. The reboot chamber's judgment has been verified by cross-examination across 3 sectors. We are prepared to discuss the implications." Ava stood straight. "I'm ready to answer." The representative continued. "The data reveals that your biological responses exceed the limits of all prior species models. This is not a question of superiority. It is a matter of uncharted adaptability." Her voice remained steady. "Humans have always adapted. That's not new." "Not at this magnitude," the representative said. "Your interference stabilized a failing quantum circuit. You reversed a critical collapse manually. No recorded species has shown such intuitive precision with foreign systems." Varel stepped forward. His tone lacked its previous harshness. "Recruit Renn, your conduct corrected my misjudgments. The Academy misinterpreted your baseline as manipulation. Ava regarded him carefully. And now? He exhaled. Now we recognize that our frameworks require expansion. You were not the anomaly. Our limitations were. The hall murmured, echoes of acknowledgement spreading through the tiers. The representative's hologram shifted. We have a decision regarding your record, and by extension, Earth's petition for expanded Accord status. A moment of silence extended before she spoke again. Ava Renn, your performance confirms that humanity qualifies for advanced membership consideration. A ripple of surprise moved across the room, some approving, some wary. Ava felt a quiet surge of emotion. Not triumph, but relief. Yet she didn't speak, sensing the representative wasn't finished. However, the hologram continued, your abilities present questions of governance. We must determine whether such traits exist throughout your species or are unique to you. Ava replied calmly, humans vary. Some exceed limits in ways others don't. But adaptability is universal. We push past boundaries because we live on a world that demands it. A senior officer rose from the lower tier. Then answer this, how should the Academy prepare for future human recruits? Ava considered the question. Start by treating humans as individuals, not disruptions. Adapt your algorithms. Adjust your expectations. And understand that strength isn't our defining feature. Choice is. The hall fell silent. Even Varel seemed taken aback. The representative nodded. Your input is noted. Now we must address a secondary matter, the consequences for Commander Varel. Ava turned toward him, sensing tension rise again. Commander Zathrix failed to recognize system limitations, the representative announced. He escalated procedures in reckless pursuit of personal assumptions. Such actions violate Academy protocol. Varel closed his eyes briefly, preparing for judgment. Ava spoke before the representative could continue. Permission to address his conduct. The hall shifted, surprised she intervened. Granted, the hologram said. Ava faced Varel. Commander Zathrix acted from conviction, not malice. He believed the Academy's systems couldn't fail. He pushed them because he feared loss of control. But he also witnessed the truth and accepted it. That matters. Varel met her gaze with unexpected gratitude. Ava continued, discipline him if you must, but don't remove him. His flaw was assumption, not intent. The representative reviewed data in silence. Then she announced, your testimony has influenced our decision. Commander Zathrix will remain, but his authority will undergo provisional oversight. The hall murmured again, mostly approving. Varel bowed his head. Thank you, recruit. Ava nodded. Understanding goes both ways. The representative concluded, this evaluation has reshaped our perception of humanity. The Accord will allocate resources to study adaptive species frameworks. Recruit Ava Renn, you are authorized to continue training under specialized curriculum. Ava's chest tightened slightly, acceptance carried weight. I'll do my best. We expect nothing less. The hologram faded, and the hall lights brightened. Officers filed out slowly, each passing glances toward Ava, some respectful, others contemplative. Varel remained beside the dais until the room emptied. When he approached, his voice carried restrained humility. Your intervention spared me a fate I earned. You acted under strain. Anyone could fail under pressure, Ava replied. But you listened when it mattered. He nodded. Humanity surprises me. Not just humanity, she said softly. Understanding surprises everyone. Varel allowed himself a faint, tired smile. Train well, recruit Renn. Ava left the summit hall and stepped back onto the promenade. The Academy's lights gleamed brighter than before, their systems humming in perfect synchrony, as though the station itself acknowledged her presence differently now. She paused at the viewport, looking down at the swirling world beneath the orbital ring. The galaxy had not changed overnight, but something within its hierarchy had shifted. Not because she proved strength. Not because she broke their machines. But because she helped them see what they'd overlooked. Humanity wasn't impossible. It was simply unmeasured potential. Ava touched the glass lightly before turning toward the training wings, ready to begin the next phase, not as a curiosity or anomaly, but as a cadet the Academy could finally understand.